It's simple. It's where you just lay in bed all day and your significant other drops chunks of bacon, a couple pepperonis, and the occasional little bit of olive oil to be healthy in your mouth. That's it. I hope for all things good that you didn't click off of the video and take that to the bank, because that is not what lazy keto is. Lazy keto is basically a manipulation of the ketogenic diet in an attempt to make it, well, lazy. Now, how do I craft a full video around this? Well, I'm a scientific kind of guy, so I want to break down what a well-crafted ketogenic diet should look like in comparison to what a lazy keto diet would really look like. And it'll give you a good indicator. Now, I'm not opposed to doing the occasional little bout of lazy keto. Okay, it's all about just keeping your macros under 20 grams of carbs. That's it, okay? Lazy keto basically says anything goes. It doesn't matter, as long as you are consuming less than 20 or 25 grams of carbohydrates per day. You could go and you could lick the bottom of a cast iron pan and it'd be fine, as long as you're just getting the good fats in and you're not getting enough, or you're not getting too many carbs. That's it, right? Well, let's break it down a little bit more. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many grams of protein you get. It doesn't matter how many grams of fat you get. All that matters is your carbs. Okay, there's no quality standard. It doesn't matter if you're getting veggies. It doesn't matter anything like that. There is no standard on inflammatory foods, which is a big piece of keto. We'll talk about that in a minute. And there is no real long-term sustainability. Now, one argument is that it makes it fun so that it can be sustainable, but I think when you break it down, you're gonna see what I mean, that it's not really sustainable from a health perspective. A lot of what I'm gonna break down is a result of Dr. Phinney and Dr. Jeff Volek's work as to what they consider a well-crafted ketogenic diet. Now, I have my own standards, and I will kind of point it out there as to where I might diverge a little bit from them and have a slight departure, but I think if we use this as a standard, you can get a clear indicator of what lazy keto is and why it may not necessarily work for the long term. Dr. Phinney and Dr. Jeff Volek have these 4 phases of the ketogenic diet, and I'm gonna outline that really quick. Okay, the first phase is the induction phase, and that's where you usually have your fat levels a little bit lower as your body is adapting to utilizing fat. Lazy keto kind of says, jump right in, have a bunch of fats, and enjoy the ride. Doesn't quite work like that, because if your fat levels are super high in the beginning, you don't have the enzymes available to really utilize those fats well. You also don't have the gene expression, the actual genes that are supposed to do the job to utilize the fats properly either. So you run into this serious issue. So with phase 1, you're supposed to have lower amounts of fat until you get adapted. So what this does is allows you to stimulate ketogenesis, allows you to actually start producing the ketones better. Okay, phase 2 is where you're actually in the weight loss phase. Okay, this is where your body is now adjusted to utilizing fats as a fuel source, so it can pull from your body fat tissues and utilize them better. Okay, this phase 2 is very, very important. It's very important that your fats are still not super high. So if you're doing it in a lazy keto fashion, it debunks all of this. Then it goes into phase 3 and 4. Phase 3 is what we call the pre-maintenance phase, and then phase 4 is the maintenance phase, where you kind of have varying macros, varying fat intake that goes up and down. A point in saying all this is that lazy keto throws all that to the wind, but there's 10 characteristics of a well-crafted ketogenic diet. I'll tell you exactly how lazy keto works with them and doesn't work with them. Okay, characteristic number 1 is you need to be having sustainable ketone levels. Even if they're low, even if they're high, you want to keep it relatively stable where you're not having big fluctuations, okay? So that means whatever diet you're doing with keto, you just want to make sure that it's pretty stable and that your ketone levels are staying stable. Now, you may not be measuring your ketones, but the point is not having massive fluctuations of fat, massive fluctuations of protein. You want to be having just moderate amounts. Lazy keto throws, again, all that to the wind. So then you end up with these big undulations. Sometimes you're kicked out of keto, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're deep in keto, sometimes you're barely in keto, and that throws things off, and it throws off the signaling, because a lot of the process we're looking for with keto comes as a result of ketones acting as what's called a signaling device. The presence of ketones in the blood itself are going to send signals to your brain, send signals to your genes, send signals to all different kind of expression that allows you to be a better person. You throw that to the wind, once again, with lazy keto. Characteristic number 2 is being well-crafted with your macros. I don't need to really go into detail there. You're not well-crafted with your macros. Okay, a well-crafted ketogenic diet is said to have moderate amounts of fat, low to moderate amounts of protein, but this is where I disagree a little bit. I think higher amounts of quality protein come into play significantly more. And that's coming from me as someone that, I don't know, I work out a lot, I move a lot. Jeff Volek and Dr. Phinney, maybe they weren't paying attention so much to someone that is going to be moving around and trying to build muscle. I think high quality protein is very, very important. And on lazy keto, you pay no attention to that. You're focusing just on, again, getting the fats, getting those ribs in, getting all that stuff in. If you're wondering what kind of protein I use, I highly recommend utilizing ButcherBox down below in the description, just because it's simple, it's easy, okay? It's grass-fed, grass-finished meat, it gets delivered to my doorstep, it makes keto super easy for me because I don't have to be thinking about the meat all the time, I just know it's coming every month, and it's just super easy. Plus, a lot of the time, it ends up being cheaper than the grocery store, especially for that of equal quality meat, right? So anyhow, beef, chicken, fish, scallops, shrimp, all that stuff delivered right to my doorstep. There's a special link down below if you want to check them out. And trust me, once you go that route, you will never go back. Anyhow, I digress. Link down below. Characteristic number 3 is it's well crafted as far as minerals go. That means that you're going to be paying attention to actually having the proper minerals in your diet. And if you're doing lazy keto, you're not paying attention to that at all. So there you go. Number 4 says most of your energy should be coming from fat. Now, as far as calories go, that makes sense. Okay, as far as grams of actual volume of food, I think most of your energy should come from protein. But with lazy keto, you're not paying attention to that at all. You're not clean whatsoever. You're not paying attention to how much of your energy is coming from fat. You might one day say, well, I'm gonna get a bunch of my energy from this, steak and eggs, and another day say I'm gonna get it from coconut oil. There's just no rhyme or reason. Characteristic number 5 says that calories are not required. This is the one that I think is in line, perfectly fine with lazy keto, because lazy keto definitely says, I don't care about calories. And it's a little bit confusing that a well-crafted ketogenic diet, as far as Jeff Volek and Phinney is concerned, would even have this in the characteristics. I mean, because this kind of says, don't pay attention to anything because calories don't really matter. At the end of the day, they still matter, but with lazy keto, people just totally throw this aside. Anyhow, let's keep going. Number 6 says it should be largely unprocessed. Well, I think this is about the biggest violation that you would end up getting with lazy keto. You're probably eating a lot of processed stuff, a lot of the keto treats, and a lot of the snacks that are out there, because guess what? Those that are in the food industry want to take advantage of people doing keto too. So there's a bunch of hyper palatable, good tasting things that are still full of garbage. And that's going to be a large part of lazy keto. Number 7 is that under 1,000 calories doesn't really count. And what that means is that if you're eating less than 1,000 calories over the course of a day, that it doesn't count as a well-crafted ketogenic diet. Well, again, with lazy keto, I don't think you're going to be under 1,000 calories, so it's probably irrelevant, but it pays no attention to that. If you want to eat 500 calories on lazy keto, it's still fine by lazy keto standards because it's, well, you guessed it, lazy. Number 8 on the characteristic list ends up talking about more of a therapeutic thing. If you're utilizing a ketogenic diet for use of chronic disease or anything like that, well, then it says that you should be trying to maintain a deeper level of ketosis. So people that are doing lazy keto for potential treatment of something, that's probably one of the most dangerous things you can do, because you're not allowing yourself the adequate ketone levels in a sustainable sense to actually signal the proper, I don't want to say reversal, but modulation of given things that you're trying to control. So again, easily falls off the wagon there. And number 9 kind of couples on number 8, which is you should avoid cycling in and out of keto if you're doing it for therapeutic reasons. Again, I know lots of people that have done a lazy keto diet and they end up cycling in and out of keto, and they're trying to potentially combat something that is usually what you would use therapeutic keto for. And the last one is, quote, it doesn't need to adhere to standard dietary guidelines. Well, this is one that lazy keto still aligns with. Okay, therapeutic keto and lazy keto alike do not align with what is positioned as a standard American healthy diet. Okay, it goes against the grain of that. So congratulations, you got 2 out of 10. So 2 out of 10 characteristics make lazy keto keto. So by all standards, I would not consider lazy keto something that you'd want to do. If you go dirty keto, which I'll do another video that breaks down dirty versus lazy keto, that makes a little bit more sense because at least you're paying some more attention to what is coming in than you would be with completely lazy keto. As always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.